listeners. Your girl, and I'm sitting next to
Miguel Ramirez.
What's up, everybody? How is your day?
How was your week?
How is your life?
Going. Now, no. Hit the little yellow one underneath the red one. Okay. And now lower the volume. Slowly. There you go. There you go. Sonja's in control.
That's
she is
right.
in charge.
That's right.
But before we do anything else, make sure you guys go to our website, oppositesattractpodcast.com. When you guys go there, the best thing you can do is follow the podcast, share the podcast, find our clips channel on YouTube, share with somebody else, find a clip that you like, and share it. Tell them to subscribe, comment, all that stuff.
All that good stuff.
It helps us out.
Yes. So, you guys are probably wondering.
Freaking weird. This is weird.
Why I am in control, because I have always been in control.
Oh this is weird. Doesn't it feel weird?
It does. Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, this is 317. So we've been in here since like episode 30 something, sitting in these seats.
Right.
Oops.
Well,
sorry. You
yeah,
see? It's different.
So we decided to switch things up because I'm going to be starting my podcast called Soul to Soul Conversations. And I need to learn how to do this stuff. Yeah,
how to set up, how to record.
All that good stuff. And it's so crazy. And you hear it all the time, right? When you just continue to do the thing over and over and over again. And when you decide to change, it feels a bit uncomfortable. I think we were talking about this on our last episode. And it's a mind fuck, right? It really is. I mean, it's the same show. Everything's the same. We're just sitting.
We've done this so many times, but it feels weird now.
Right. How do you feel?
It feels weird. Like for some reason, like it's familiar, but it's weird. There's something off. You know what I mean? Because
you are used to being in control.
Yeah. No, you know what? You know what's actually kind of crazy is I was watching this video about jiu-jitsu, and the guy was talking about how there's like certain people have this idea that you only practice something from one side, right? And he was saying you have to do it from both sides because a lot of times people get good at defending one side because that's what most people attack with. But if you switch to the other side, it throws the other person off. He's like, but the thing is that when you start doing the other side, it feels weird. Miguel. And I tried it.
Yeah.
And I tried it one day when I was in class. I tried to choke somebody the regular way, and I do it the weird way by nature. So I get those chokes pretty good. When I went to the regular way, it felt weird for me, and they were able to fight it off like so easy because I'm just not good with the other side. But it is like a skill, you know, like getting used to doing it with the weird side or getting used to, I don't know, switching seats. Because even something as simple as this, it does feel different.
Right. I feel more in control.
I feel more out of control.
Like powerful.
Why? Because you got the buttons?
Because I'm looking at you from a different angle, and it's just different. But I do feel that way anyway. Like I feel after my fast, well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. There's just this enhanced energy within me.
Yeah.
You know? And so, yeah, so maybe it's that, but it's like, okay, I got the controls now.
Yeah. Yeah, so we decided let's let Sonja switch, and that way you can run the show. That way when you want to start doing your show, you know how to set it up. You know how to get things going and record, and then we'll start bringing you guys episodes.
Yes. It's funny how when we talk about something and you decide to do an analogy, it's always a jiu-jitsu analogy.
Well, that's because that's what I'd be watching, yo.
Yeah. But this happens with any little change. For instance, and you hear this a lot, that when you want to change your paradigm, the thing that you've been doing consistently like forever, It's as simple as brushing your teeth with the opposite hand, eating with the opposite hand.
Yeah. It is. It's just change. We don't like doing things differently than we've done them before.
Mm-hmm.
We want things to be like so neat. And that's the thing that gets us in trouble all the time, because life is not always just like so straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of nuance. There's a lot of different perspectives to it. It's not always like cut and dry.
Right. Yeah. Anyways, it's going to be fun.
In a lot of ways.
It was for me, it's exciting because I'm learning something new. And before, I never really cared to learn like the setup, right? Like it was just not something I was interested in learning. And you became a perfectionist at it. So why not just let him do it, right?
Yeah.
You do it faster. And so,
I got excited actually when you were telling me that you want to start figuring this thing out and setting it up and learning how to record so you can do your thing. And I got excited because it's like another one of these things, kind of like my podcast, the fighting podcast that I have. Mm-hmm. Like I started that podcast, like episode 16 just came out, but episode 1 looks amazing.
Right.
But that all came from like, look at the beginning of this podcast. Mm-hmm. We did it with a little selfie stick, ring light, and a cell phone and a laptop.
Right.
And
but
from there,
still sounded good.
It still sounded good and it looked okay.
Right. Right.
But it was always like little by little, it was the best I could do with whatever I had. Mm-hmm. And what's the next best thing? What can I upgrade to make it a little bit better and a little bit better until we got to this point, Right. And now when your podcast starts, you're not starting from like, we got shit mounted to the ceilings and the walls. And like, you remember how many tripods we used to have in here, stepping over fucking cables and stuff all over the place?
Yeah.
And how many times we did that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool, like, to be able to get you started.
Yeah,
and
quite a bit.
Just get going.
Yeah. I noticed, like, just with us at the end of 2024, the growth within you and seeing you and the things that you're doing and the things that you want to accomplish. You were talking about your goals for 2025.
Yeah.
Right? And how, you want to share with everyone what those goals
No,
are so we can throw
like,
them out and then hold,
this
hold
is
your
like
ass accountable.
This is like the Christmas. I think this one comes out right before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think I mentioned them on here before. There's been a few. And yeah, so the first one was like, I've done pull-ups for like a really long time. So I saw these things on the internet called muscle ups. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much like a pull-up, but where you can pull yourself up over the bar. And that looks pretty hard to do, but it looks cool when you can do it. Mm-hmm. And I've seen all kinds of videos of people doing them. And I was like, I want to be able to do that. And it's pretty tough. So I was like, I want to be able to do 3 muscle ups. And it's one of these things that's kind of like everything else. You just start, and little by little, it's different than a pull-up. So you have to actually learn the technique of how to do it. Mm-hmm. The other thing I wanted to be able to do is splits. There's one of the guys at the gym, Dennis, that he does freaking splits sideways, front and back. And it's also great for jiu-jitsu and great for your body. So I was like, I want to be able to do that.
I was talking to you about that because that's something that I've been working on.
Yeah. Yeah. You're getting good at it too. You're almost there.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing a lot better now. Yeah. No, like since I've been, stretching a lot more, like I feel the hamstring tight, but it's good.
Yeah. So I want to be able to do that. And then with that, I want to do some windmills.
So he's going to be
like
dancing.
the break dancing windmills.
Yep. So
just because that's one of them things that I always wanted to be able to do that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And we used to do this little break dancing down in the lobby of my building. And I remember going to Flushing Meadow Park, like that big park with the globe. If you look at like a picture of New York or Queens or whatever, it's like that big iconic globe. And that's where we used to go to break dance. And I remember seeing this one kid that was big. Like he was a fat kid.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was windmilling. And I'm like, hold on. I was like, how the hell is he doing? Like, if he can do it then there's something about this, like
Right.
then I just got to learn how to friggin' do this. And I never learned how to do it.
Yeah.
And then one day I was looking up some jujitsu stuff, and jujitsu and breakdancing have a big crossover.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
Interesting.
Like a lot of times people that breakdance get into it, or they get good at it because some of the movements are similar. But anyway, I saw this video of this guy taping his thumbs that he jacked up in jujitsu. And at the end of it, he teaches like a simple way to do a windmill.
Interesting.
And I was like,
well,
I'm going to use this video to teach me how to do a windmill.
Yeah.
So that's the other one. And then I kind of thought about like the podcast. Like I was like, I want to get to be on other shows, so that's something that I have to look into and we can work out.
Yeah. Well, that's something that I'm learning right now. So.
Yeah. And then for the fighting podcast, I was thinking that they have this jiu-jitsu conference where they have a lot of fighters that go to it, UFC fighters, jiu-jitsu fighters, and it's a great place to meet people for my podcast. I've wanted to go to it before I had the podcast, and I think it may be the same weekend that people compete for the Masters tournaments. Yeah. So it's one of those things. If we're going to be there, then maybe I'll compete or whatever. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I want to compete more.
Yeah. So it's funny. Adriana and we went to church and they were talking about what is your word for 2025? And consistency came to me, being consistent.
Yeah.
And there's a lot that has been coming up, and it's all about learning. It's so funny because the way I've always worked was very, there was never really direction. Like I never had like set goals, right? I would get an idea and then just do it. But there was no planning, no goal setting. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. And then I would just do it. But there was no deadline.
No.
Right? So very flowy, very free. And there's times where when I didn't feel like doing it, whatever that is, I didn't do it. And there's a lot of things that I can get better at, like the tech, right? The technology,
the technical
LinkedIn,
side of stuff.
just all the admin work, blah, right? Like you can put me in front of a room. I love to network. I don't mind asking for the sales. All the things that most people struggle with, I don't struggle with. So I made the decision that I am going to step it up and do the thing that I've never done just to see, because this is the thing, like I just filled out an application to be on a podcast, and it's a pretty big podcast, and I was accepted. I've never been on somebody else's podcast before, right? And so this is something that's new for me. It's like soul conversation or something like that. And so doing that, there's a lot of things to prepare. So I've been watching his podcast, right? Learning him, looking how he interviews. And it sounds like he's just going to let me free flow. That's what I call it. And that's going to be exciting because those are, for me, like the best. Like whatever's supposed to be said and shared is going to be said and shared.
Yeah, that's what you do.
So learning how, for me, because of my podcast and the online courses that are going to be taking place in 2025, it's knowing how to really become an expert in Zoom, knowing how to, break up the breaking sessions, how to set it up properly, like all these things. There's so much detail behind it. And so learning that, and there's so much more, that's coming with that. And so for me, it's more like focus. It's the grounding part of the business. And I know that, like you always tell me, don't waste your time doing the, like the back office thing or whatever. But when I'm on this podcast, he asked me like, give me the links that you want me to share with our audience. Like how can they find you? And I'm like, holy shit. Like, Facebook? I have an email, but I also have a link tree that I've never used. I have a Calendly where they can set a discovery call. but never
Yeah,
used, you know?
Yeah.
And so SonjaRamirez.com, how easy is that? And boom, they go there and there's my Linktree. So I've been learning about Linktree and Calendly and I got all that set up.
That's good. That's awesome.
You know, because it's that simple just to have that done. And for me, because I've been sending it out to people because people have been reaching out to me and I'm like, here's my Calendly. Right. And so I have like 3 appointments. It was that easy, just like sending them a Calendly to set up a discovery call with me.
Now, all this stuff, these are all like things that
Tools.
you didn't, well, these are all tools. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But these are things that you need for your business, right? That you need to kind of run your business or to not
easier.
Need.
It's to make it easier.
It's not, you don't need it, but it's nice to have when you're doing this type of business, right?
Right.
But for you, setting it up was like,
it was,
right?
It was,
and you had somebody that you were coaching that actually set all this stuff up for you at first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of made it easy to set up and work, and you can just kind of give people your website or whatever.
But it wasn't set up fully, and I didn't even know how to get in it. Like, I had to figure all that out.
Right.
You know? So it was like starting all over. But the more I did it, the more confident I felt, you know, which gave me like a boost in confidence, right? And I'm the type of person that I need to feel good about what it is that I'm sharing. So there were some things that I had to change, right? And so, you know, my friend gave me she's like, set up a YouTube, put a video on there.
Yeah.
Right. So there's these things that I'm doing, but these are the things that I have been procrastinating on for so long. And I got on this call and it's funny because they said the thing that you're avoiding is the thing that you need. And now that I have these things in place and I'm learning, like just continuing to learn, I feel the confidence within me boosting to where when I talk to somebody and they're like, well, how do I find you? Or here's my email or here's my phone number. In today's world, people want the thing that is the easiest where they can learn more about you and click a freaking button. It's crazy. But then there's some that are like me. I want to have a conversation with you. I want to talk to you. I want to get to know who you are first. But that, you know, and you don't have to give me a Calendly. Let's just chat. But then there's other people that want the button.
Yeah, and it just all depends.
Right. But it's
the first thing you said though was people want the thing that's the easiest. Mm-hmm. That is always true in every way.
Yeah.
You know, like you were even like I was saying, like you have somebody that you were coaching that did all of this for you. Mm-hmm. Why?
It was just something that she brought up that she thought would be easier for me to work around.
I'm just saying, sometimes it's like, I don't like doing that. So I can get somebody to do it. We can exchange services and I won't have to do that.
Mm-mm. That was her idea.
Maybe you said, yeah, I got to set up a website. I got to do this. I got to do that. And that's just not my thing. Oh, I'm good at that.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Mm-hmm. Heck yeah. Yeah. See, but there's
the things that we fight. Mm-hmm. A lot of times are the things that are going to make a difference.
Right.
And you don't have confidence at the things that you're not doing. And you didn't do it. You didn't write it. So you're not pushing it.
And it depends on what's your level. Where are you financially within that business? Because if you're at a certain level where you're making a certain amount of money, don't waste time on the thing that you can hire somebody else to create for you when your time is more valuable meeting the people, doing the thing that you're really good at. But don't bullshit yourself.
There's things that you just fucking do them.
Yeah.
Yes. Not everybody's fucking Warren Buffett where it doesn't make sense for you to cook your own meals because you're losing millions of dollars. Like, get a chef and get somebody so you can go do something more important with your time. That's not everybody.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we use like, oh, my time is more valuable. No, go learn. That's what you need to do. You know, I was talking to Joey earlier last week about all kinds of, about school. Like, at a certain point when you know, there is no excuse for anything in life. When you know that your parents have their own story, that they went through their own stuff, that you are an adult and that you make your own decisions, that yes, we all start from different points or whatever, but it's up to us to do our thing now as adults, right? Like, who the fuck am I going to be sitting here crying to? My mommy? No. I'm a fucking adult. I handle my shit. That's how you fucking get things done. But I don't even know exactly where I was going with that. But what I was getting at is that when you know, you can't blame everybody else. And I was telling Joey that in this country, like, just look at the kids in school. It's every fucking week they got another couple days off. Every other day it's a fucking half a day of school. When are they actually learning? Look at how we rank across all the countries in the world on school. We fucking suck. But yet we want to give the kids more breaks. They study this shit, which is why I wanted you to listen to that book. There's a lot of things that people just don't realize that have an effect. The thing is that when you do know, whose fault is it? I know better. I know that this system is set up for us to fucking fail. But if I fail, whose fucking fault is that? I didn't do anything about it and you fucking knew about it. You're twice as fucking dumb. Right? So, like, if the kids don't go to school and the kids aren't getting smarter and the parents know about it and you have to tell the kids, you have to do something. You have to make them want to learn.
You have to
make them curious.
Right.
What is it that you want to do? And I talked to Joey about all this shit. I'm like, look, there's more and more days off from school. You guys think it's fucking great. This is sad. Every year the kids are going to get fucking dumber. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Call it what you want. Now, you know that this is a thing. If you don't know and it just happens to you, well, it is what it is. But if you fucking know and you have YouTube in front of you where you could look up all the brain rot shit in the world and just waste your fucking brain away. Or you could learn just about anything that you want. And I asked him, I was like, how much time did you spend trying to figure out your 3D printer? How many hours did you try to, when the shit wasn't, printing right and it wasn't sticking and all this other shit that was going on?
Yeah.
You were up all fucking night doing that shit. So it's possible to learn.
Right. They say that 90% of people don't know what they want in life and drift their entire life. Just drift, not knowing. And having those conversations is planting the seed. Like, what is it that you want? Like, getting them to really tap in. What is it that you want? Yeah. What is that thing that you love to do? Like you told me, once you find that thing you love to do, then do that, because then it'll never feel
like you're working.
Right. So it's like helping our kids to find that thing that they love to do. And that
was something that I it was like an energy thing from a CIA video. If you guys can find it on YouTube, or I'll see if I can find it and I'll tell you guys the name of it. But it was kind of like finding what you enjoy doing. So like in your case, being a coach, like there's so many different things you can do. Right. You could do retreats. You could do one-on-one coaching. You could do online coaching. You could do seminars. Yeah. You could freaking, and all. So, but when you think about all of them, it's like, okay, the only thing I'm going to do is retreats. Well, how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel good? Like you could do that all day, every day?
Right.
If it's not, then don't do that.
Right.
Is it sitting down with somebody? Can you just sit with somebody and just do that and then bring the next person in and sit with them?
Right.
Is that something that sounds like, if that's it, then do that.
Right.
But just find out whatever that is and whatever that is for you.
You know, they say that most people, because when you start to dream, right? When you start to, when you sit down and you start to write goals, remember, I don't know, few months back, you and I sat down to write down goals, and what happened? It didn't happen.
Probably drifted.
Like we just completely, I don't know what the heck happened, but it didn't happen. And so it's like, instead of looking at them as goals,
But it happens.
Why don't we look at them, right? But it was our goals, right? What are the things that we want to do together? Because it's great to have individual goals. Do you want to know how most couples split? How most couples drift away?
Is it?
Not having goals together, common goals. You don't only want to grow as an individual, you want to grow together.
When's the last time we did common goals? You can't say that, babe.
Common goals? What are our common goals?
What are they? What have they been?
We have our parenting foundation that's pretty similar,
yes,
right?
Yes, it is. But I'm saying we haven't sat down and, like, you make it sound like you got to sit down and write goals. We've never done that.
We've always supported each other in our goals.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we have.
But what are the things that in that? So imagine if we add that.
Okay.
What can that improve?
Yeah.
Right? So instead of looking at them as goals, look at them as dreams. What are the things we want to do together? What are the things that we want to create together?
Yeah.
And I was listening to this. I was in this session, and she was talking about that there's 4 different stages to that. And the first stage is the dream. It's the idea that comes to you. And you get this idea, and you're in a honeymoon stage, right? This is how I put it. You're in a honeymoon stage. You're excited about it. You're thrilled about it. It's something new. It's something exciting. And it just makes you feel so good inside.
That's going to be great.
Yes. And then you're sitting in this. And
what do we do?
You haven't taken action. You're sitting in this, and all of a sudden you go into distress. Wait a minute. I don't have a certificate. I don't know much about it.
I'm going to have to rent the place.
How am I going to put time into this? How am I, right? It's
I'm gonna
all
have to
the
hire
doubt. It's all the unworthiness. All that starts to creep in. Versus being like making a list and saying, hold up. Okay, I don't understand how to do this. So maybe I can take a class on this or read a book or a podcast or whatever it is. Instead of letting those negative thoughts creep in, allow the positive thoughts. Think of everything that you're going to be able to accomplish. Think about how you're going to feel after accomplishing this goal. Right? So instead of getting distressed about it, figure out what it is that you want to learn in order to make that dream come true and start to take action.
Yeah.
But most people don't they don't get past the distress phase. They quit the dream. They stop dreaming because the negativity, the thoughts that come in. And they don't feel that they're capable. Yeah. And they quit. And they never even get to the next level. Isn't that sad?
Yeah.
I remember the day when I was meditating and the retreat came through a meditation. That same day, I scheduled the Airbnb. Not knowing how, I just did not even I did not have that distress because I didn't allow myself a way out. I'm like, I have this damn Airbnb. Now what?
Yeah, you got to find those moments. There's like those little moments of commitment where you can make those first commitments. You know, it's like, this is a good idea. What is the next? Okay, signing up for that. It's $5 a month.
And that's the development stage.
It's, I got to sign up for that tournament. That's on this day, or, signing up for that class or whatever it is, it's just making that, whatever that commitment is that you're going to do that thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that would be the development stage. What are the things that I can learn in order to.
Yep.
And then you start learning and you start growing and your confidence starts to build, right? And then you continue to take the action.
Then it becomes easier to do that. And then you start recognizing
Mm-hmm.
moments where you can take these little commitments, you know?
And that's when you hit the destination. That's when you reach
But
the goal.
yeah.
But through
You know,
the
but
journey
what is the goal, you know? Like,
or the dream, right?
yeah. Just do what you want. Like, what is it that you
Yeah,
want to do?
exactly.
I mean, you're going to learn something along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that you pick up, I guarantee other people are into it. You know,
Yeah.
it could be podcasting, could be jujitsu, could be whatever. I mean, yes, you love coaching people and helping people. Well, you could go down 1,000 rabbit holes that have to do with coaching, whether it's doing graphic design stuff for your business or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like you were saying, you want to stay focused on the stuff that is going to keep you going. But it's the stuff that doesn't, like the money doesn't really, you would do it no matter what.
Right.
You know?
And that's actually great that you brought that up. Because if you decide that dream or that goal is based on a number, it's not going to last, because there has to be some meaning. There has to be some, like, what is that why? Maybe it is to create $5,000, but what are you going to do with that extra $5,000? Is it going on a trip with your family? Like, you have to really look within, because if it's just a number, just because that was me. I would say, oh, I'm going to create $100,000, but money does not motivate me. Right?
Yeah.
It doesn't motivate me. So it's when I would say those things, it was very empty. So it's like, okay, well, I see where we're at, right? And I know that this will help my family too, right? Whatever that is, that's where I started to get more excited and started to really push and see, like, well, that's now, right? Because that's something that I just learned. I always knew that I wasn't money motivated. I always knew that. But to put a meaning behind the number, put the meaning behind the number. And when I put the meaning behind the number, that's when I got excited.
Yeah.
Was that. So it's like you have to know you. That's why it's so important to ask yourself, what is it that you want?
What is it that you want and what is important to you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You know, I've been having a lot of that more lately, you know, and kind of like this, talking about this podcast. Like, what if we stop doing it? Like, we just stop. I mean, we've done it for, like I said, this is 317.
Mm-hmm.
What if we decided that this is it?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? Was it a failure?
No.
What was it supposed to be? I had fun doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe that was it.
Yeah.
And everything, because it didn't become Joe Rogan or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe that's what it was never supposed to be, that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I go on being.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
It would be really weird.
It would be.
Wouldn't it? Like, it would be really
this
weird
point,
to not.
We're not, but yeah.
You know what I'm saying, though? Yeah, because this is our thing. Like, this is the thing that we're just.
But it's not that big of a deal.
It's
None
not.
of it is, you know?
No. Yeah. No, it's not. And it's funny. You and I have talked about this. This will forever, when we are gone.
Because the thing is that if everything is a goal, and then we shut this thing down, and then you always look at it like, man, that was that one thing that we could have won one day. It could have been. But it was like, was it? No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just do it because you want to do it, because you love doing that, because you want to get better at that,
Right.
whatever that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, like I had, I went away on a work trip, and it was a quick trip, like a 1-day trip to California. and I went and trained at another place. And I was telling you that when I got done training, I went back to the hotel and took a shower before dinner. And I was just sitting there, like washing my hair or whatever. And I'm just kind of thinking to myself, like all the different places that I've trained, you know? And I was thinking about all, like it is almost like communicating with somebody that you don't know in a way. They get to know you a little bit by how you fight, you know? Like there was a moment where I had somebody under me and I had my knee like right in their chest. And depending on what you're doing or what's going on, like you drop that knee. I mean, you could try to put it through their chest and that doesn't feel good. But they got to know me like I'm not that dude. And we keep rolling, keep fighting. We're in uncomfortable positions or whatever, but it's weird. Without talking, you get to know somebody. And then
That's interesting.
All the different places in Connecticut, in St. Louis, I trained. In California, a bunch of different places. And for the first time ever, I had the thought of like, I can't imagine not doing this for the rest of my life. It was, I mean, besides you and the family, like, I don't think there's many things that I've thought of like that. You know, and even that. Jiu-jitsu is huge for me, but it's not that serious. You know, it's just not. Like you guys, ultimately, the friends that I have in jiu-jitsu, you know, kind of like what we were getting back to last episode. It's the people.
If you can give someone some advice on detaching or giving less fucks, because you were not always this guy.
No.
This has something that this has been recently. This has happened recently. And I've been able to witness your growth. Like, I call it your spiritual growth. I don't know what you want to call that, your higher consciousness, whatever. No. But I have seen your growth. And
that's just what it is.
And I've been able to witness it and see the shift within you. What is that thing that helped you transition? Like, helped you to become mindful.
Thanks, babe. Now everybody knows.
To become aware, to become, right? Like, yeah. What would you say was that one thing?
You have been the biggest thing, for real. Yeah. Just all the back and forth that we have to go, and like, it's just, I can't, like, I had this conversation with my best friend on text message. And I told him, I was like, dude, I can't be a different way. Like, I can't sincerely be or believe any differently than what I do. This is just me. There's no way for me to fake it. Just like there is no way for any of you to fake your beliefs and fake who you could fucking fake it to everybody else and everybody else could be fooled. But you can't fucking fake yourself, and you know it.
Right. Authenticity.
You know? Mm-hmm. And just all the, like, what is it when you started bringing up your beliefs and everything, it makes me question, like, well, what is it that I actually believe? Turns out I've always just said that because everybody else said it, but I've always kind of said it like looking around, like, are we all just kind of saying this? And it's like, well, some people believe it seems, and some people don't. And I'm like, I got questions. Mm-hmm. And then my questions always lead to more questions, but I'm sorry that this is how I am.
Right.
But with all these questions, like learning about so many different things, like just learning about so many different things. about religion, about human nature, about spirituality, about space, about the universe, about history, about all of it, and putting it all together, there's not words. I was watching something today that was talking about the influence that words have. There's things that are so powerful, not even so powerful. There's things that you cannot even contemplate. You can't imagine it because we can imagine it in Spanish, but there's no words for it in English. I can't explain exactly what it is because I have to think about it. But the more languages you know, the more words for things you have, which means that you can know more things. You can talk about things that you can't even talk about in English because there are no words for that. Actually, the video that I sent it to you. You got to check it out. They talk about how the English language is more built up as an accounting system because that's how we were made up as a country. They were coming here to do things, to see what they could get, to take count of what they had and inventory and all that stuff. So a lot of the English language is like accounting type stuff, where Spanish is more of a rhythmical or whatever. But it was like that 1984, like back in Roman times, you can't explain spirituality because they didn't have the words for it.
Right.
Like Satori that we talk about in Zen philosophy, that feeling of enlightenment that you get. Until the word Satori, you didn't know a word for that.
Right.
You could only imagine that feeling and then couldn't say shit about it.
You can feel it before you could explain it.
But it wasn't until somebody made the word, gave it the definition, and it's like, oh, that's what that is. Now I can explain this to people. This is what that is.
So that they can understand.
Yeah. So.
But it's still just a word.
But when you understand things like this, that even your knowledge is based off of stuff like that, you can only learn as much as your language allows you to. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's times where I am in like a deep meditation. I'm in that space and there's these emotions, there's these feelings that come up. And though I have the word joy, right, or peace within my vocabulary, it's deeper than that.
Yes.
Like there's no words that can explain what I'm feeling.
But there could be in Hebrew or in Latin or in Aramaic.
Maybe, right?
Right? And they could express that.
But the feeling is that intense. It's kind of like the love that I feel when I am deeply connected, when I'm in that space. The word love does not do it justice whatsoever. It just does not. And when I hear people talking about their near-death experiences, they talk about this love that they feel throughout their being, right? Like this love that's very intense, and there's no words that can, that can describe what they're feeling.
But if there was, maybe it would be that.
Right? But love is love is for me, like the ultimate, like that feeling that just vibrates throughout your being. It makes the world go round. It
is.
It's just, it is. Yeah, love is. So to have another word that can describe that, like I'm even feeling it now, just talking about it.
That is that Satori feeling. What is the definition of that? I'll look it up.
Yeah. But that's interesting because when you're having a conversation with someone and you both are in that space, I've had this with my clients, and you both are in that space, there's no words that need to be shared because the love that we're both experiencing in that moment, we're sharing together. And that's what I talk about, energy. That's what I'm talking about. The transfer. It's not a it's just is. It's an experience. It's a moment that you're sharing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here, Satori, it says Japanese, is a Japanese Buddhist term for awakening, comprehension, understanding. The word derives from the Japanese verb satoru. In Zen Buddhist tradition, satori refers to a deep experience of kensho, seeing into one's true nature.
Yeah.
Those moments.
Into one's true nature. Because in that time, in that space, you really are very connected to who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, and there's a knowing within that.
Yeah.
And that's the space I love to be in. That, just being in that space. And to be in that space, you can create it wherever you go. And I do my best to do that wherever I go. But because we're where we live, the challenges, the obstacles, just all the things that are happening around us, right? The death, you're hearing about all these things, and they say true enlightenment, true spiritual enlightenment, awakening is when it's like being in a tornado, right? But being in the center of it and having that grounding and that knowing that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay.
Yep.
Right?
Go back and check out our clips channel, because I just made a clip exactly about that, about what we listened to last week, the Tao of Pooh. And that's exactly like, it was about him going outside. And what was it? It was something like, why are you going outside? Or what are you doing outside? Why are you going outside?
Right.
Because it's a nice day.
Yeah,
he's like, well, why don't you go do something important?
Right.
Like go read or go learn something, or
right.
And he's like, because it's a nice day.
Right.
And he's like, what am I going to learn? He's like, well, why don't you turn on the radio? You can learn something about the world. He's like, what is the radio going to tell me about the world? And as soon as he turns the radio on, 30,000 people died.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
And he's like, what does that tell me about the world?
Right. Like, open your eyes. Look at the sun.
Yeah. And you were saying, like, I don't know what it is, like 40. Ever since 40, 41, it's just like the Joe Coy show that we went to. Like, he talks about, you start getting older, you start not giving a fuck. You start understanding what the hell is important. Yeah. Like I talked about last week, is going on that run. There's nothing more important than just sitting there and feeling the sun. That's it. You don't need money. Yeah. You don't need none of that.
Do you remember me saying there's something about the age of 40? I used to always tell you that. You didn't understand until you hit 40.
But at the same time, all of that, doing hard things, getting better at stuff.
Right.
I'm excited to see like where I can go from here. Not as a like I have to do anything. I don't have to do shit. But it'd be cool to see. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just as like, it'd be cool to see like a curious kid. Yeah. What is possible?
And that's it.
Within my limitations. Yep. I'm not a fucking psycho. You know what I mean? Within my limitations. Like, I'm not like, well, I watch fucking Maverick. I want to be a fighter pilot. It's like, fucking calm down. You're 41. All right. Yeah. You're not going to be a fighter pilot. But you want to get a pilot's license? That may be possible. Maybe. Maybe not. Let's look it up if we're interested and start taking those steps like you were talking about. If you really want to do it. If you want to. Right. But what do you want to do?
So in front of us on my whiteboard, I have a verse. It's Luke 18:16. And it says, "Let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of God belongs to such as these." It's what you're just, it's having that childlike curiosity and learning how to play again. He's not just talking about young children. He's talking about us becoming young children. Get curious, play, allow yourself to be.
Yeah. And another thing that you were asking, like, what was it that helped me get to this? Because, like, you've seen a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a big part of it, going through this whole spiritual journey, is seeing the differences or the non-differences between everybody and all the different games that go on in the world, like the money game, and seeing that there's people with money that are incredible.
Yeah.
There's fucking terrible people with money. There's assholes with money. There are people that have no money that are amazing.
Right. Yeah.
There's all kinds of people. Like, there's people that are super smart right next to you that you look at them and you only see them in one way.
Right.
And have no idea that they are incredible at something else, or that they had a completely, like, we see things so one-sided sometimes, but the worshiping of stuff, of people, of idols, of gods, of everything.
Yeah.
And for myself, understanding that we're not different. We are, if you want to, I don't believe in God. I don't believe that anything like this thing, it happened and it continues to happen. So we are just, if I feel like we are just beings on this planet, that doesn't make me any better than you just because I'm stronger or bigger, doesn't make me any better than our dog Nisi. Now, I mean, we have consciousness. They don't. Which in a way gives us more responsibility to have to fucking take care of them. Right?
Right.
Like, us being the conscious beings, it should be our responsibility to take care of our stuff and our planet. Who does that put the responsibility on? And what does everybody else think? It's everybody else's responsibility. God made this for us. He'll take care of it.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying, the thing is that if this is our thing, it's ours. Then it's nobody's fault that it gets trashed.
Yeah.
And it's our job to clean it up or do what we have to. But I mean, I'm only one person, whatever. But when you look at it that way, then we're not any different and we're not any better,
So I wanted to play something. Look at me. Ooh, Roadcaster. I'm connecting to the Roadcaster right now.
Okay, look at you. What are you doing over here?
So, waiting for Miguel Ramirez confirmation. What? We need to change that.
I gotta let her.
Like, for real though. No.
What's up? What are you playing?
So I had sent. There's this song. It's called Self Love. I was listening to it. I heard it on YouTube, and I'm like, this is such a beautiful song. And I was called to share it with a few people, and I did.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say her name, but I met her at a women's retreat, but it was through the church.
Okay.
Right? The Women's Encounter.
Oh, yeah.
And so I sent it to her, and she's like, "Hi, my beautiful sister. You sent me a video." She's like, please be careful. Remember, you read the Bible. And I wanted to play my response to her. So do I just hit play here, baby? And then and then turn this up, or is that good?
No, that one. Yep.
Is that good?
Turn it up a little more and go for it.
Okay. And so she sent that to me, and this is what I sent her.
Turn.
Hey, my friends. So, of course, I have a pretty good relationship with God, with Jesus, and so when he calls me to send, then I send. So I've been on this walk since 2013, so I totally understand, right? You can't put God in a box. You just can't. But yeah, I heard the song and thought I'd send it over to you. I hope you are having a beautiful weekend, my friend, surrounded by family and friends. I'll talk to you soon. That's all that was, right? It's just, but because it was self-love, like you loving yourself and you know, she's like, be careful with pretty much what she said, because she speaks a different language. Pretty much is like, be careful to what you're taking in. Be careful what you're listening to. Don't forget you read the Bible, kind of thing. And she is religious, you know, and the way I feel, you can't put God in a box. Like you just, and so after, you know, she heard that, she's like, I also love you, sister. You know, but it's just that. And I feel, you know, that religion, that's what religion does, right? And it causes so much division and separation, us against them.
Yeah.
Versus just being love.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. You know, like I was saying, the one thing, the way I see it is we're all just beings that happen to be sharing this planet. And if that's the way it is, then neither one of us is better than the other. Regardless of, and like I said, if you have consciousness, if you are smart, then we have more responsibility because we know what we're doing to take care of each other, to take care of the planet, right? And when it is that way.
What do you mean when you say those of us that are smart?
Like if you understand, because some people feel that God created the earth for us. The only reason that there is an earth is because God made it for us. And it doesn't really matter because God's coming anyway, and it's going to change. Like,
so you're saying, therefore, because they believe that, they're not taking responsibility to take care of the planet.
Yeah. And some people also feel like, I mean, they don't believe in anything. They just they need to take. They got to take and they got to make. They got to make batteries. They got to make, you know, go fishing. They got to make money. They got, you know, it's just.
There's a lot of large companies that do that.
Yeah. And they got to make houses. They got to make furniture. They got to fucking make paper. They got to do all this stuff. And I mean, we get to enjoy a lot of this stuff. Right. So, I mean, it's all with balance. We're all big hypocrites for participating in all this shit anyway. But what I'm saying is that when you are aware, when you know, you are responsible. You know, and when you do feel that we are all the same, that we are not better than each other, then you feel that we are not better than each other. Right. And that also means you do not get to take advantage of me, that I have respect for myself, that you may be a corporation and I may just be an employee, but I don't allow myself to get taken advantage of. Yeah. I have respect for myself and for my time and my life.
There's a lot of taking responsibility when you get to the knowing, right?
And when you know who you are, it's easier to be that way. Because I know who I am, I know what I do, I handle my shit, and when it's time, if I need to stand up and do or say something, I can do that with confidence because I know who I am. You know? And that's when you start giving less fucks, and it's like, it is what it is. I'm sorry.
Right. Oh, what does my card say there?
I'll grab it.
This is a card that I have, and I, you know, just have it in front of me, and it says, "I am more than worthy. I am a fucking warrior woman." Right? And it's something that I have to remind myself. And yeah, you know, like I said, I love the being in the stillness. I love that and how it feels, but it's like I'm here to also experience this world and do the thing that I want to do, to serve, to be that. And I'm not going to serve anyone if I'm just in my office meditating in my, you know, in that space. And so it's like, it's time too, right? And I feel like this is the next level. I don't even want to say what 2025, I don't want to even go there because a lot of people do. It's more like, let me just show. That's
Yeah.
where I'm at. I'm not talking. It's
Just
just
do it.
like, I'm
Start
just going to
doing
do it. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need to talk. I'm just going to do, you
Yep.
know?
Yeah. And, I love feeling this way. And it doesn't mean that that you're just like selfish all the time because it's like, fuck it. I do what I want and I don't let people push me around or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that way. Because a lot of times the things that I do want and do want to be doing is being with you guys, which is why I don't let work push me around or other things dictate my life or I have to do this. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not showing up to that. Because I'm doing something with my family, or I got an episode that I'm going to record because I have a fighting podcast and I love doing that, or because I'm going to go train with my friends, my training part. Like, what is important? What are the things that make you feel good in life?
Yep. And those are the things that you want to do. And those are the things that you can do and not feel weighted down because you're doing the thing that you want to do. And with the things that you want to do, that you enjoy doing, there are going to be things that you don't want to do. You understand? Like with jiu-jitsu at the beginning, it was difficult for you too, right? Yeah. Fit it in your schedule, just all these things. For me, of my coaching, it's learning, the LinkedIn, it's learning how to work, just Zoom and all these things that I have really been procrastinating for quite some time. It's the thing that you don't want to do, but the thing that I really love to do is coaching, and this is going to help me to grow that thing. So I have to do the thing that I don't want to do.
Then in the end, you look back at it and you're like, wow, I can't believe I did all that.
Right. Oh my gosh.
And it feels so good.
And that's important. What you just said is super important because that's what I did. Because I was in a shithole.
We always forget that.
Like I really was. I was in the dumps like for a while. And this shit always creeps up on me. Right. And I could not find my joy. Like I was just in this space where I just felt very blah, right? Like I wasn't angry. I was just blah. And I'm so used to being happy though. I'm so used to having this joy and this excitement within me. And it was nowhere to be found. And I was doing all of the things that I thought I needed to do. And I wanted to share this. I don't know how much time we have. Ooh, wow. We're over.
No, we're just over. Go
ahead. This book, it's called Fast Like a Girl, right? And it's Fast Like a Girl. It's Dr. Mindy Pell's A Woman's Guide to Using the Healing Power of Fasting to Burn Fat, Boost Energy, and Balance Hormones. And so it helps with so many. I'm not going to get into it next week. We can get more into it. But while I'm going through this funk, I was reading this book and it was talking about intermittent fasting and 24 fast, 48, all the different fasts. I want you to give some
of the stuff about that,
right? And what it helps with. And so I used to fast all the time and it's just been a bit. So I decided to fast. And so I fasted for 3 days and my second day was very challenging. Right? Like I was just crying. I was a mess. But I noticed that there was this sorrow within me that I was not allowing to be released. And that's why the joy, like I was numb to it because I didn't want to feel sad. This is a feeling that it doesn't feel good. And most of the time when we are sad, we put a meaning behind it or we put a thought behind it versus just allowing your body to feel and allowing yourself to be in that feeling, in that emotion, right? And I did it and I've never done that before. And it was absolutely weird. it was crazy because I'm crying, right? Like I'm feeling really sad. I was feeling just bawling. And there was no thought. I didn't allow a thought to get attached to the sadness. I didn't any meaning behind it. I just allowed myself to be with the emotion. And when I allowed myself to be with the emotion, there were times where I wanted to numb it. Like, let's go watch a show, right? Let's go watch something that's going to make you feel better. Let's do something. Let's do versus being.
Yeah.
But I fought that. And I'm like, no, I need to allow myself to feel this. And so once I gave into it and allowed myself just to be with it, and I started looking at pictures of us, wedding photos, and then so much gratitude, and I felt very proud. I was looking at pictures of myself, of where I am today and all the things that I've been able to accomplish, all the hard things that I've been able to do. Yeah. From all the different businesses, like just kicking ass, right? So I started going through all of that. And then after that day, the end of the day, I started feeling joy again. But and I don't know what that sadness was about, but whatever it was released. And I was fasting during that time, and it talks about I'm going to be 48 and your hormones become wacky the older you get, right? And things start to shift within. And after this fast, I've had an amazing boost of energy, confidence, like feeling sexy, like just dancing, I found me again. And I haven't even finished this book, but every woman, it gets into great detail about how it helps with menopause and just all these things. I would say every woman should read this book. It's
Fast Like a Girl.
That, yes, and fast. And it's not easy, but try here. Do intermittent fasting there. Yeah. When you read the benefits of what fasting does for the body and for the mind, you're going to want to do this. Yeah. And the second day was hard as shit. Like, it was difficult, and I couldn't even read the book because I thought maybe just reading the book will, help me to continue to move forward. But I didn't even have the energy to read the book, But once the third day came, I felt amazing. I felt like I could have continued to fast, but Christmas is around the corner, so
there was lots. Now it's time to eat, right. Not fast.
Yeah,
eat fast. That's what we're gonna do.
Eat fast. No, not me. I've been really good, actually. I've been really good.
Not me, but anyway, we can tell you more about that. I'm sure you guys are all eating like crazy. It's Christmas time,
right? Yeah.
So we hope you guys are enjoying.
Yes. So thank you guys for your love. Thank you for your support. And thank you for watching Opposites Attract podcast.
Where we get better
together.
Bye.